Oh, hey, how's it going? Wait, let me guess. Great by choice. You know, I was thinking about Great by Choice, and I actually wanted to read more about it. But Jim Collins, the author of the book Great by Choice, wrote another book called Good to Great, and it's about the transition from good companies to great companies. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about it. You see, in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, he talks about the 6 different concepts needed for a company to become a great company in the first chapter of his book. Those 6 concepts are level 5 leadership, first who, then what, confront the brutal facts, the hedgehog concept, culture of discipline, and technology accelerators. By taking a look at these 6 different concepts, we can actually learn what makes a good company a great company. In Chapter 2 of Jim Collins' books, he talks about level 5 leadership, which is leadership where a person has the personal humility to accept success and failure in a different perspective, and also professional will, the unwavering resolve to do what needs to be done. He gives an example of a window and a mirror. When a leader, a level 5 leader, has success, he points out the window and says, all of these people and all of these things contributed to my success. But when there's failure, he can look into the mirror and say, this is something that's on me, and I can do better to make this a great company.
In Chapter 3 of Jim Collins' book, he talks about who before what. The idea is that you could have a level 5 leader, and you still might not have a good enough team to get the job done. Before you have a vision, or before you choose where it is that you want to go, or the action plan that you want to take to become great, you have to have the right people on board. Sometimes that means kicking people off the bus. The way Jim Collins says is that if you have people who are all on the bus, and you told them that we're headed in this direction, if the direction has to change or adapt in any way, the people might get off. But if you say to each other, I'm only getting on this bus because of these people that are on the bus with me, then it doesn't really matter where you go. You will stick together and come up with adaptive plans for whatever the situation is.
In Chapter 4 of Jim Collins' book, it talks about confronting the brutal facts while maintaining a hopefulness of the situation. So he talks about Stockdale, which was a Vietnamese prisoner, I believe, in the Vietnam War. He was an American soldier who, at the time, was being used as an example of how well the prisoners were being treated there. And because that was absolutely a lie, he disfigured himself and started to sabotage his own survival in a way to give the truth to the people that the Vietnamese were sending these videos to. Now, this was kind of a little bit extreme, but at the same time, it does give a brilliant example of somebody who was willing to face the honest truths about the situation while maintaining hope that the situation would get better. I like Chapter 5 of Jim Collins' book the best because it talks about the hedgehog strategy. Now, this is really interesting. There was an Aesop fable about a fox and a hedgehog. Now, the fox is cunning. The fox can see a very simple situation and turn it into very complex things. It can look at all of the different angles, and it looks at all the different methods and all the different strategies of particularly how to attack this hedgehog. The hedgehog, on the other hand, sees the world as a very complex thing, and it boils it down into a very simple principle. If I curl up, I am safe. And so while the fox keeps coming at the hedgehog in different ways and different strategies at different places, the hedgehog always wins because in his world, the simplicity trumps the complexity. And like that very fable, good businesses can become great businesses by taking a look at 3 different things. What you can be best in the world at, what you are passionate about, and where your economic engine comes from. By taking a look at those 3 circles and asking questions about that, a really good company acting like a hedgehog, can become a really great company. I think one of the more interesting chapters that were in this book was chapter 6, where it talks about the culture of discipline. So it goes back to chapter 2, where the level 5 leader is not the one who is pushing the whole program, but is instead surrounding themselves with people who are doing really good work. So a culture of discipline talks about making sure that first we have the people, and then we change the way that they think. And by having a thought process that's disciplined, where they will do literally anything to get the job done, then we have disciplined action. And it isn't about the fear of failure, and it isn't about the hopes of success. It's about people who are doing their job because that's their job, and because they love to do it. It kind of goes with the hedgehog concept as well, where it doesn't have to be so complicated. People who have a job and do their job well will contribute, and together they create a very successful program or culture, a culture of discipline. The last concept that Jim Collins talks about is technology accelerator. This one has the most to do with my particular job, being a media specialist. So I've always argued that I'm not a technology teacher. And the reason why is because I don't teach technology. I teach using technology. And for the same reason, good companies that want to be great companies do not use technology for the sake of technology. They use it to help their program. And so if you can do something for free and for cheaper without the technology, you don't need to use the technology. But if it does help your program faster and you get more money out of it, that's when you would use the technology as an accelerator for your program. It's very important to remember that you can get caught up in all of the new, awesome opportunities that technology can offer you, but if you are not comfortable with your program, it's just a waste of money and a waste of time. So there you have it, good to great. The last two chapters that Jim Collins talks about are of particular interest for moving forward. The first of the last two chapters talks about how we have to continue moving. The world changes, everything can change. And so our businesses and our practices should change too. Especially if we start having people who may have been great at one time, but cannot compete in whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing, then maybe it's time to get rid of them and bring in somebody new. And it's hard, and it looks dramatic, and it looks very, very scary. But sometimes it's necessary. The only way we can move forward is to move forward. The very last chapter talks about a very interesting concept that actually I've had to do a lot of thinking about myself. There's a time to be conservative. There's a time to be progressive. But only in working with both sides can a company really survive. We need to move forward. But there's also a time to take a step back and say, we're doing really well right now. Let's cruise with this. Gain some momentum. Gain some prestige. Gain some power. And then, when it's time to move forward again, we will have all of that behind us. But if we just keep moving forward, sometimes we outrun ourselves. It's an important concept. And I really like that in Good to Great. Jim Collins talks about those dangers, because it's not just good enough to be good. We must be great.